The ballroom fell silent as Elon Musk stepped up to the microphone at the Austin Technology Gala. 800 tech leaders, investors, and journalists expected a lighthearted joke to end the evening. Instead, Elon looked directly at a young woman in the third row and began what sounded like the setup to a joke, but wasn't. A billionaire, a janitor, and a dying child walk into a hospital. The audience chuckled, waiting for the punchline. But Elon's voice was unusually quiet, his eyes never leaving the face of Dr. Maya Rodriguez, who sat frozen in her seat. Beside her, a teenage boy in a wheelchair gripped his father's hand tighter. 3 months ago, that's exactly what happened, Elon continued, his words cutting through the expectant silence. I was the billionaire. Carlos Rodriguez was the janitor. And Diego Rodriguez was the dying child. The chuckling stopped completely. Maya felt her breath catch as Elon prepared to tell their story. All of it, to the world. But to understand why this moment would change everything, we need to go back to where it all began. Maya Rodriguez pressed her face against the cold window of the Dell Children's Medical Center break room. Outside, Austin's spring morning looked perfect. Inside, her world was falling apart. Her phone buzzed for the 10th time in an hour. Another rejection email. This one from the Gates Foundation. While your neural interface research shows promise. The message read, we cannot fund projects at such an early stage. Maya wanted to throw her phone across the room. Instead, she took a deep breath and counted to 10. Her brother Diego had taught her that trick when they were kids. Back when Diego could still talk. Dr. Rodriguez? A nurse poked her head into the break room. Your brother is asking for you. Maya hurried down the hall to Diego's room. At 16, her little brother looked so small in the hospital bed. Tubes and wires connected him to machines that beeped and hummed. A brain tumor had stolen his ability to move and speak 6 months ago, but his dark eyes were still bright and full of life. Hey, Mijo, Maya whispered, sitting beside his bed. She took his hand, hoping to feel him squeeze back. Nothing. But Diego's eyes moved to look at her computer bag. He always did that when he wanted to see her work. Maya pulled out her laptop and showed him the latest version of her neural interface. The device looked like a thin headband with tiny sensors. I'm getting closer, she said. This could help you talk again. Help you move again. Diego's eyes moved up and down. That was his way of saying yes. Maya's throat tightened. Her brilliant little brother was trapped inside his own body, and she couldn't save him. The sound of footsteps in the hallway made Maya look up. Her father, Carlos, walked in carrying a cup of coffee and wearing his janitor uniform. He worked the night shift at the hospital, which meant he could spend days with Diego. Mija, you look tired, Carlos said in his gentle voice. He still spoke with an accent from Honduras, where he grew up. When did you last sleep? I slept, Maya lied. She had been in her lab until 3 in the morning, working on the neural interface code. Carlos studied her face. After raising 2 kids alone, he could always tell when Maya was lying. The doctors say Diego is stable. Go home. Rest. I can't rest, Papa. I'm so close to a breakthrough. If I can just get more funding, funding will come, Carlos said firmly. But not if you work yourself to death. Maya wanted to argue, but she knew her father was right. She had been running on coffee and determination for weeks. But every day Diego stayed trapped in his body felt like forever. There's something else, Carlos said, lowering his voice. Tesla is donating new ambulances to the hospital. The CEO is coming for a photo event this afternoon. Maya rolled her eyes. Great. Another rich guy taking pictures to make himself look good. Maya, Carlos warned. Be respectful. But Maya was tired of being respectful to people who had money and power while her brother suffered. She had applied to every tech company and foundation she could find. Musk's companies and foundations had all said no. Some didn't even reply. I have to go, Maya said, kissing Diego's forehead. I'll be back tonight, okay? Diego's eyes followed her to the door. Maya blew him a kiss and tried to smile. But inside, she felt like screaming. In the elevator, Maya thought about the neural interface she was building. The technology existed to help people like Diego. Brain-computer interfaces could let paralyzed people control computers with their thoughts. They could help people communicate, move robotic arms, even walk again. But the research took money. Lots of money. And Maya was running out of time. The elevator doors opened on the main floor. Maya saw workers setting up lights and cameras near the entrance. A small crowd had gathered. Some held signs thanking Tesla for the ambulance donation. Maya tried to slip past unnoticed, but a reporter spotted her hospital badge. "Excuse me, are you a doctor here?" the woman asked, shoving a microphone toward Maya's face. "I'm a researcher," Maya said, backing away. "What do you think about Tesla's donation?" Maya paused. She thought about Diego upstairs, about all the other kids in the hospital who needed help. She thought about her empty bank account and her failing research. "I think it's nice," Maya said carefully. "But what kids here really need is hope. They need to know that smart people are working to cure their diseases and fix their problems. Money for research matters more than fancy ambulances." The reporter's eyes lit up. This was better than a boring donation story. "And is that research happening here?" she asked. Maya looked back toward the elevators, thinking of Diego. "We're trying," she said. "But it's hard when nobody wants to take risks on new ideas." Maya walked away before the reporter could ask more questions. She didn't know that in a few hours, someone would see that interview on the local news. Someone who had been looking for exactly the kind of risk Maya was talking about. Someone who had his own reasons for wanting to help kids like Diego. Elon Musk sat in the back of his Tesla Model S, scrolling through his phone as his driver navigated Austin traffic. The ambulance donation was supposed to be a quick photo op, shake some hands, take some pictures, tweet about it, and fly back to California. But then he saw the news clip. "Money for research matters more than fancy ambulances," the young woman on his phone screen said. Her voice was tired but fierce. The reporter had identified her as Dr. Maya Rodriguez, a neural engineer at Dell Children's Medical Center. Elon paused the video and studied her face. Dark circles under her eyes. Hospital badge hanging crooked. She looked like someone who had been fighting a war and losing. He knew that look. He had seen it in his own mirror during the darkest days at Tesla and SpaceX. "Sir," his driver asked. "We're here." Elon looked up. The hospital entrance was decorated with balloons and Tesla banners. A small crowd waited with cameras and clipboards. He straightened his tie and got out of the car. The next hour blurred together. Hospital administrators thanked him. Photographers snapped pictures of him standing next to the new electric ambulances. A reporter asked about Tesla's commitment to healthcare. "We believe technology should serve humanity," Elon said, giving his standard answer. But Maya Rodriguez's words kept echoing in his head. "Money for research matters more than fancy ambulances." After the official event, Dr. Patricia Williams, the hospital's chief administrator, offered to give him a tour. "We'd love to show you some of the amazing work happening here," she said. Usually, Elon would have politely declined. But something made him say yes. They walked through the pediatric wing, past rooms filled with sick children. Dr. Williams talked about the hospital's programs and achievements. But Elon found himself looking at the kids, thinking about his own children. "This is our research wing," Dr. Williams said, leading him down a quieter hallway. "We have some brilliant young doctors working on cutting-edge treatments." "Like neural interfaces?" Elon asked. Dr. Williams looked surprised. "Yes, actually. Dr. Rodriguez is doing fascinating work in that area, though I believe her funding situation is challenging." They passed a lab with glass windows. Inside, Elon could see Maya hunched over a computer, typing code. She wore the same clothes from the news interview. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. "Could I meet her?" Elon asked. Dr. Williams hesitated. "She's been under a lot of stress lately. Her brother is a patient here, and she's trying to develop technology that could help him. It's very personal for her." "All the more reason to meet her," Elon said to Dr. Williams knocked on the lab door. Maya looked up, saw the hospital administrator with a man in an expensive suit, and her face hardened. "Dr. Rodriguez," Dr. Williams said, "I'd like you to meet Elon Musk." Maya stood up slowly. "The guy with the fancy ambulances?" Elon winced. This was not going well. "Maya," Dr. Williams warned. "It's okay," Elon said. "She's right to be skeptical. I saw your interview on the news. You said research matters more than ambulances." "I also said nobody wants to take risks on new ideas," Maya replied. "Especially rich tech guys who are too busy playing with rockets to care about sick kids." The words stung because they weren't entirely wrong. Elon had turned down plenty of medical research proposals over the years. Most seemed too risky or too far from his company's core missions. "Tell me about your work," he said instead of defending himself. Maya looked at him suspiciously. Why? Because I'm interested. In buying my research? In hiring me? In putting your name on my patents? In understanding what you're trying to do? Maya stared at him for a long moment. Then she turned to her computer screen. This is a brain-computer interface, she said. It reads neural signals and translates them into commands a computer can understand. She showed him videos of test subjects controlling cursors with their thoughts, moving robotic arms, typing words on screens just by thinking about them. It's incredible, Elon said, and he meant it. How does it work? Despite herself, Maya began to explain. Her whole face changed when she talked about her research. The tiredness fell away. Her eyes lit up with passion and intelligence. The hard part isn't reading the brain signals, she said. It's interpreting them correctly. Every brain is different. The software has to learn each person's unique patterns. Machine learning? Elon nodded. We use similar concepts in Tesla's autopilot. Except a car crash doesn't kill the person learning to drive, Maya said. If I get this wrong, I could hurt someone. Or worse. Is that what happened to your brother? Elon asked gently. Maya's face went cold again. My brother has a brain tumor. The neural interface could help him communicate, maybe even control a wheelchair or computer, but I can't test it without funding. And I can't get funding without successful tests. Catch 22, Elon said. Exactly. They were interrupted by someone clearing their throat. A man in janitor clothes stood in the doorway holding a mop bucket. Sorry to bother you, Mija, the man said to Maya. I was cleaning the hall. Papa, it's okay, Maya said, her voice immediately softening. This is my father, Carlos. Carlos stepped forward and extended his hand to Elon. His grip was firm, his palm rough from years of hard work. Thank you for the ambulances, Carlos said simply. They will help save lives. Elon felt embarrassed by Maya's father's gratitude. The ambulances had cost Tesla almost nothing compared to their annual budget. But to Carlos, they represented hope. Your daughter is doing important work, Elon told Carlos. She is brilliant, Carlos said with obvious pride. Always the smartest person in the room. Even when she was little, she could fix anything. Maya looked uncomfortable with the praise. Papa, you don't need to. When Maya was 8, Carlos continued. Our old television broke. The repairman wanted $200. Maya took it apart with a screwdriver and fixed it herself. Papa, please, Maya said, but she was almost smiling. She built her first computer from spare parts when she was 12. Got a full scholarship to MIT. Never stops learning, never stops fighting. Elon watched the interaction between father and daughter. Carlos's love for Maya was obvious in every word. Maya's embarrassment couldn't hide how much his approval meant to her. How long have you worked here? Elon asked Carlos. 15 years, Carlos said. Started when Maya was in high school. Good job. Good benefits. Lets me help with Diego during the day. Diego is your son? Carlos nodded. Maya's little brother. Very sick, but very strong. Like his sister. Elon felt something twist in his chest. A father working night shifts to pay for his daughter's education and care for his sick son. A daughter using that education to try to save her brother. A family holding together through pure love and determination. I should let you get back to work, Elon told Maya. Wait, she said as he turned to leave. Why did you really want to meet me? What do you want? Elon paused. The honest answer was complicated. He had lost a son once. Nevada had died of SIDS when he was just 10 weeks old. For years, Elon had thrown himself into work to avoid thinking about that loss. But seeing Maya fight so hard to save Diego reminded him of his own desperate helplessness. I want to understand what you're really trying to do, he said finally. And maybe I want to help. Maya studied his face, looking for lies or hidden motives. My research isn't some flashy consumer product. It's not going to make you billions of dollars. Good, Elon said. The best things never do. He left his contact information with Dr. Williams and walked back to his car. But instead of driving away, he sat in the parking lot for 20 minutes, thinking about Carlos cleaning floors to support his children, about Maya coding until her eyes burned, about Diego trapped in a hospital bed. That night, Elon couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Maya's neural interface and the look in her eyes when she talked about her brother. He had the resources to fund her research. The question was whether he had the courage to take the risk that at 3 in the morning, he made. A decision that would change everything. Elon sat in his home office in Austin, staring at his computer screen. 3 different windows were open: Maya's research proposal, Neuralink's old files, and a new shell company registration form. The decision seemed simple at first. Fund Maya's research through a fake company. She would never know the money came from him. Her pride would stay intact, and Diego might get the help he needed. But nothing was ever that simple. Elon clicked on the Neuralink folder labeled Project. Neural Bridge, discontinued. His hands shook slightly as he opened the files. He hadn't looked at these documents in 3 years. The research was almost identical to Maya's work. Brain-computer interfaces for medical patients. The same goals, the same hopes, the same risks, and the same terrible results. Elon scrolled through the test data. Monkey subjects had shown promising results at first. They could control computer cursors, play simple games, even operate robotic arms. But after 6 months, problems started: brain swelling, seizures. In the worst cases, fatal hemorrhages. 0.15% of the test subjects died. Neuralink had quietly shut down the project. Too dangerous, the scientists said. Not worth the risk. Elon had agreed, but for different reasons. One of the monkeys reminded him of his son Nevada. Same dark eyes, same curious expression. When that monkey died from brain bleeding, Elon couldn't continue. He told everyone the research wasn't profitable enough. Only he knew the real reason. Now Maya was pursuing the exact same technology, and she had no idea about the dangers. Elon's phone buzzed. A text from his assistant. Your 6 a.m. meeting with the Tesla board has been moved to 7 a.m. He looked at the clock. 3:47 a.m. In a few hours, he would sit in a conference room and make decisions about billions of dollars. But right now, he was struggling with a choice that might cost one young man's life. His phone rang. The caller ID showed his brother Kimball. You're awake early, Kimball said when Elon answered. Couldn't sleep. What's your excuse? Restaurant. Business. I'm reviewing supplier contracts. Kimball paused. You sound stressed. Elon almost hung up. He and Kimball were close, but some things were too complicated to explain. How could he tell his brother about Nevada, about the monkey experiments, about a 16-year-old boy he barely knew? I'm thinking about funding some medical research, Elon said finally. That's good. You should do more of that. It's risky. Research. Experimental. Could help people, but could also hurt them. Sounds like everything you do, Kimball said with a laugh. Remember when everyone said Tesla would kill you? Or that SpaceX rockets would never work? This is different. This is about a kid's life. The line went quiet. Kimball knew about Nevada. He had been at the funeral, had watched Elon fall apart, had helped him rebuild. What kind of research? Kimball asked gently. Elon explained Maya's neural interface project. He told Kimball about Diego, about Carlos working night shifts, about Maya's desperate hope. But there are risks, Elon continued. Serious risks. I know because we tried similar research at Neuralink. It didn't end well. What happened? Elon told him about the failed experiments, the brain damage, the deaths, the guilt that still kept him awake some nights. So you're worried this girl will make the same mistakes? Kimball asked. I'm worried I'll be responsible if she does. And if you don't help, and her brother dies anyway? Elon had been trying not to think about that possibility. At least it won't be my fault. Elon, Kimball said quietly, you can't save everyone, but you can't let fear stop you from trying to save anyone. After the call ended, Elon walked to his kitchen and made coffee. Through the window, he could see Austin waking up. Early morning joggers, dog walkers, people starting their normal days with normal problems. He thought about Carlos, probably finishing his night shift at the hospital right now. Maya, maybe still coding in her lab. Diego, lying in his bed, waiting for hope. At 5 a.m., Elon made another call. Dr. Williams? This is Elon Musk. I know it's early, but I need to ask you about Dr. Rodriguez's research. The hospital administrator sounded surprised but alert. Of course. What would you like to know? Has anyone told her about the risks? The potential side effects of neural implants. She's done extensive research on the safety protocols. Maya is very thorough, but does she know about the Neuralink experiments? The ones that failed? Dr. Williams was quiet for a moment. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Elon realized that Neuralink had kept the failed research secret. Maya had. No way of knowing about the dangers because his company had never published the results. I need to speak with her, Elon said. Today, she's usually in her lab by 6 a.m. Elon arrived at the hospital at 5:55 a.m. He found Maya exactly where Dr. Williams said she would be, hunched over her computer with a cup of coffee that had gone cold hours ago. She looked up when he knocked on the lab door. "You're either very early or very late," she said. "Early. I couldn't sleep." "Join the club." Maya gestured to her computer screen. "I've been running simulations all night. The neural interface is working perfectly in every test." "Maya, I need to tell you something about similar research that's been done before." She turned in her chair to face him. "I've read every paper published on brain-computer interfaces. I know the field inside and out. Not everything gets published." Elon spent the next hour explaining Neuralink's failed experiments. He showed Maya the data on his phone, the test results, the brain scans of damaged tissue. Maya's face went pale as she read. 15% mortality rate, she whispered. "In monkeys. Human trials could be different, but they could be worse." Maya leaned back in her chair. "Why are you telling me this? You could have just let me figure it out on my own. Because I don't want Diego to get hurt, and I don't want you to go through what I went through." Maya was quiet for a long time, staring at the data on Elon's phone. "The neural patterns in your monkeys were different from what I'm seeing in my simulations," she said finally. "Different how?" "Your team was trying to create permanent connections, full-time interfaces. My design is meant to be temporary. The patient could remove it if problems develop." Elon leaned forward. "That could make a difference." "It could, or it could just mean the damage happens faster." They sat in silence, both thinking about Diego lying in his hospital bed 3 floors above them. "There's something else," Elon said. "Diego's condition is getting worse, isn't it?" Maya nodded, tears forming in her eyes. "The tumor is growing. The doctors say he has maybe 6 months. So the choice isn't between safe and risky. It's between risky and certain death. That's what I keep telling myself. But what if I hurt him? What if I make his last months even worse?" Elon thought about Nevada, about all the what-ifs that had haunted him for years. "What does Diego want?" "He can't tell me. He can only move his eyes." "But you know him. What do you think he would choose?" Maya wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "Diego has always been a fighter. Even when we were kids, he never gave up on anything. He would want to try. And Carlos. Papa would do anything to save Diego. But he trusts my judgment. He says I'm the smart one." Maya laughed bitterly. "I don't feel very smart right now." Elon stood up and walked to the window. Below, he could see Carlos in the parking lot, getting into an old Honda Civic, probably heading home to sleep for a few hours before coming back to sit with Diego. "I want to fund your research," Elon said without turning around. "Why?" "Because I think you're right about the temporary interface. Because Diego deserves a chance. And because I trust you to be careful. What if something goes wrong? Then we'll face it together. You won't be alone." Maya was quiet for so long that Elon turned around to look at her. She was staring at her hands, thinking. "I need to talk to Diego," she said finally. "And Papa. This has to be their choice, not mine." "Of course. And I need to see all your Neuralink data. Everything. If I'm going to take this risk, I need to understand exactly what went wrong before. I'll have it sent to you today." Maya stood up and extended her hand. "Partners." Elon shook her hand. "Partners." As he walked back to his car, Elon felt a familiar mixture of excitement and terror. He was about to fund research that could save a young man's life or end it. He was trusting a brilliant scientist who was also a desperate sister. But for the first time in 3 years, he felt like he was doing something that mattered more than stock prices or rocket launches. He was giving a family hope, even if that hope came with terrible risks. The next morning, Elon arrived at Maya's lab with coffee and bagels. She looked like she hadn't slept all night. Her eyes were red from crying, but her jaw was set with determination. "I'm going to do it," she said without looking up from her computer. "But I'm going to do it right." "What do you need?" Elon asked. "Everything. Better equipment, safety protocols, a real surgical team, and I want to see all the Neuralink data." "Maya, that research is classified. Then unclassify it." Maya finally looked at him. "If you want to help, really help, I need to know exactly what went wrong. I won't make the same mistakes." 3 hours later, Maya sat in a secure conference room at the Tesla Gigafactory, reading through hundreds of pages of Neuralink research files. Elon watched her face change as she absorbed the data. "Your team was too aggressive," she said finally. "They tried to implant too many electrodes too deep in the brain. My design is different." She pulled up her own research on her laptop. "I'm using surface electrodes that read signals from the brain's outer layer. Less invasive, lower risk, but also less effective," Elon pointed out. "Maybe, but alive and partially helped is better than dead and completely helped." Dr. Kim joined them by video call from California. She had agreed to consult on Maya's project despite her reservations. "The mortality rate was 40%, Dr. Kim explained to Maya. "But most deaths happened because we were trying to implant deep brain electrodes. Your surface approach should be much safer." "How much safer?" Maya asked. "I don't know. We never tested surface electrodes extensively. You'd be in uncharted territory." Maya was quiet for a moment. "What would you estimate, if you had to guess?" Dr. Kim hesitated. "Maybe 10% risk of serious complications. But that's just a guess." 10%, Maya repeated. 1 in 10 chance Diego could die or have permanent brain damage, Dr. Kim added gently. That evening, Maya returned to the hospital to talk to Diego. Carlos was there, as always, reading to his son from a Spanish book about soccer players. "Diego," Maya said, sitting beside his bed, "I need to talk to you about something important." She explained the risks as simply as she could. 1 in 10 chance of serious problems, possible death, possible brain damage, but also a chance that you could talk again, move again, control a computer or a wheelchair with your thoughts. Diego listened with his bright, intelligent eyes. When Maya finished, he blinked twice. Yes, he wanted to try. "Are you sure?" Maya asked. "This isn't like a video game. If something goes wrong, I can't restart." 2 more blinks. Yes, he was sure. Carlos took his son's hand. "Mijo, you don't have to be brave for us. If you're scared, that's okay." Diego looked at his father, then at Maya. His eyes moved to the window, where he could see other kids playing in the hospital courtyard. Kids who could run and laugh and shout to each other. One slow, deliberate blink. No, he wasn't scared. "He's braver than I am," Maya whispered. Over the next 2 weeks, Maya and Elon worked together 18 hours a day. Elon flew in specialists from around the world. Maya redesigned her neural interface 3 times, making it safer with each version. They tested the device on computer simulations first, then on donated brain tissue from people who had died and chosen to help medical research. Every test brought new improvements, but time was running out. Diego's latest brain scan showed the tumor was growing again. Dr. Williams called Maya into her office with the results. "I'm sorry, Maya. The tumor is pressing against critical areas of Diego's brain. We're looking at weeks, not months." Maya felt the world spin around her. "How many weeks?" "Maybe 4, possibly 6 if we're lucky." "Is he in pain?" "Not yet, but that will change as the tumor grows." Maya left the hospital and drove to the Gigafactory. She found Elon in his office, staring at technical drawings for the neural interface. "Diego's getting worse," she said without sitting down. "We have a month, maybe less." Elon looked up. "The device isn't ready. We need more testing." "There's no time for more testing." Maya's voice was steady but fierce. "I'm going to test it on myself first. Tomorrow." "Maya, that's insane." "Is it? If something goes wrong with me, Diego still has a few weeks to live normally. If we wait and test more, he dies anyway. And if you die testing it, then Diego knows his sister tried everything to save him." Elon stood up. "There has to be another way." "There is. You could help me find a surgical team willing to perform an experimental procedure. Tonight." "Maya, Elon, I've run out of time to be careful. Tomorrow morning, I'm putting this device on my head. The only question is whether I do it in a proper surgical suite with trained doctors, or in my apartment with a first aid kit." That night, Elon made phone calls he had never imagined making. He found Dr. James Liu, a brilliant neurosurgeon who had lost his medical license for performing experimental procedures without approval. Dr. Liu had gone underground, helping patients that mainstream medicine couldn't save. "It's risky, Dr. Liu told them over an encrypted video call. "But I've seen your research. It's solid work. Will you do it?" Maya asked. "For someone trying to save her brother?" "Yes, but not in some back alley clinic. I have access to a private surgical facility outside Austin. Full equipment, proper anesthesia, everything we need. The facility turned out to be a converted veterinary clinic that Dr. Liu used for his underground medical practice. It wasn't fancy, but it was clean and had all the necessary equipment. Maya lay on the operating table at 6 in the morning, her head shaved and marked for surgery. The neural interface looked like a thin crown made of metal and computer chips. Last chance to change your mind, Dr. Liu said. Maya looked at Elon, who was standing beside the table wearing surgical scrubs. His face was pale with worry. If something happens to me, Maya said, promise me you'll keep working on this. Promise me. You'll help Diego. Nothing's going to happen to you. Elon said. Promise me. I promise. Carlos had wanted to be there, but Maya insisted he stay with Diego. If this goes wrong, she had told her father, Diego will need you more than I will. The surgery took 4 hours. Dr. Liu carefully placed the neural interface, electrodes on the surface of Maya's brain, connecting them to a small computer chip behind her ear. Elon watched every moment, his hands clenched into fists. Neural activity looks normal, Dr. Liu reported. No bleeding, no swelling. So far, so good. When Maya woke up, the first thing she saw was Elon's worried face. How do you feel? He asked. Maya tried to speak, but her words came out slurred. She tried to move her left hand and felt nothing. I can't. My hand. Dr. Liu quickly ran tests. The neural interface was working. Maya could control a computer cursor by thinking about moving it. But the surgery had damaged part of her brain. That controlled her left hand. It might be temporary, Dr. Liu said. Brain swelling from the surgery. Give it a few days. But Maya knew it wasn't temporary. She had felt the moment during surgery when something went wrong. Her left hand would never work normally again. Maya, Elon started. No, she said firmly. Don't say you're sorry. Don't say we should stop. This proves the interface works. We just need to make it safer for Diego. You could have died. But I didn't. And now we know what to fix. Elon helped Maya sit up. Her right hand was steady as she picked up a tablet computer. Just by thinking about it, she made words appear on the screen. Hello, Diego, the computer voice said, reading Maya's thoughts. Your sister is coming home. Carlos burst into tears when he saw Maya walk into Diego's hospital room. Her left arm hung useless at her side, but she was smiling. Mija, what did you do? I took the first step, Maya said. She sat beside Diego's bed and showed him the tablet. Watch this. Just by thinking, Maya made the tablet display pictures of Diego's favorite soccer players. She made music play. She wrote messages. That the computer read aloud. Diego's eyes went wide with wonder. 2 enthusiastic blinks. Yes, yes, yes. Now we make it better, Maya told her brother. Now we make it safe enough for you. She looked at Elon, who was standing in the doorway. We have 3 weeks. Let's not waste them. Carlos hugged his daughter, carefully, mindful of her injured hand. I'm proud of you, he whispered, but also terrified. Good, Maya said. That means we're doing something important. Outside Diego's room, Elon caught up with Maya. I have an idea, he said. What if we don't do the surgery at that clinic? What if we do it here, at the hospital, with full FDA emergency approval? That could take months. Not if I make some phone calls. Not if we frame it as a last resort treatment for a dying child. Maya stopped walking. You could do that. I don't know, but I'm going to try. You took the risk of testing the device. Let me take the risk of fighting the bureaucracy. For the first time since the surgery, Maya's smile reached her eyes. Carlos was right about you, she said. What did he say? That you're someone who chooses love over fear. That night, Elon began making the phone calls that would either save Diego's life or end his own reputation. But watching Maya sacrifice her hand for her brother's future had taught him something important. Some risks were worth taking. Elon had never used his wealth and influence to pressure government agencies before. But as he sat in his private jet, flying to Washington, D.C., he realized there was a first time for everything. The FDA meeting was scheduled for 8 a.m. on a Tuesday. Elon brought Maya with him, despite her protests that she wasn't ready for public appearances. Her left arm was in a sling, and she still struggled with some words, but her mind was sharp as ever. Dr. Rachel Morrison, the FDA's Director of Medical Device Approval, looked skeptical as they presented Diego's case. Mr. Musk, I understand your concern for this family, but we have protocols for experimental medical devices. Clinical trials take years for good reasons. Dr. Morrison, Maya said, her words careful but clear, my brother doesn't have years. He has weeks, which is exactly why we can't rush this process. Compassionate use approvals require extensive safety data. Elon pulled out his phone and showed Dr. Morrison a video he had recorded the night before. Diego was using Maya's neural interface to play a simple computer game, controlling a character just by thinking about moving it. This technology works, Elon said. Dr. Rodriguez tested it on herself to prove it was safe enough for her brother. Dr. Morrison looked at Maya's injured arm, and clearly there were complications. Minor complications, Maya corrected. The neural interface itself works perfectly. I can control computers, type messages, even create digital art with my thoughts. The hand paralysis was a surgical error, not a problem with the device. Still, any brain surgery carries enormous risks. Dr. Morrison, Elon interrupted. What if it was your child? What if your son was dying, and this technology was his only chance? The room went quiet. Dr. Morrison studied the video on Elon's phone, watching Diego's joy as he controlled the game character. I'll need to see all the safety data, every test, every simulation, every analysis. And I'll need 3 independent neurosurgeons to review the procedure. How long will that take? Maya asked. 2 weeks, maybe 3. Maya's face fell. Diego might not have 3 weeks. I'm sorry, that's the fastest I can move. Back in Austin, Diego's condition was getting worse. The tumor was growing, and he was starting to have headaches. Dr. Williams increased his pain medication, but everyone knew what that meant. Maya spent every day working to improve the neural interface design. With only one working hand, the process was frustrating and slow. But she refused help from the graduate students, determined to perfect every detail herself. You're pushing too hard, Elon said one evening, finding Maya asleep at her computer in the lab. Not hard enough, Maya mumbled, waking up. If the FDA says no, we'll have to go back to Dr. Liu's clinic. And this time, we won't have a second chance. Elon helped Maya to a chair and brought her coffee. Tell me what you need. A miracle. The interface works, but the surgical placement has to be perfect. 1 millimeter off, and we could hit the wrong part of Diego's brain. What about robotic surgery? Computer-guided placement. Maya looked up. Do you have access to surgical robots? I can get access to anything you need. The next week was a blur of activity. Elon arranged for a state-of-the-art surgical robot to be installed at Dell Children's Medical Center. Maya worked with engineers to program exact placement coordinates for Diego's neural interface, but the FDA approval was still pending, and Diego was running out of time. Dr. Williams called Maya into her office on a Friday afternoon. I have Diego's latest brain scan. The tumor has grown significantly in the past week. Maya stared at the images on the computer screen. The tumor was now pressing against Diego's brain stem, the part that controlled breathing and heartbeat. How long? Maya asked quietly. Days, maybe a week. And if we do nothing, he'll slip into a coma first. Then his body will shut down. Maya left the hospital and drove to the lakeside park where she and Diego used to play as children. She sat on a bench and called Elon. The FDA hasn't approved the procedure yet, she said when he answered. Dr. Morrison says maybe Monday. Diego doesn't have until Monday. Elon was quiet for a moment. What are you saying? I'm saying we're out of time for official approvals. It's Dr. Liu's clinic or nothing. Maya, if we do an illegal surgery and something goes wrong, if we don't do surgery, Diego dies anyway. At least this way, he has a chance. That evening, Maya sat with Diego and Carlos in the hospital room. Diego's eyes were dimmer than usual, and he was having trouble staying awake. Mijo, Carlos said gently, Maya needs to ask you something important. Maya took Diego's hand. The surgery we talked about? We might have to do it at the private clinic again. Not here at the hospital. It's not completely legal. Diego's eyes focused on her face. He blinked twice. Yes, if something goes wrong, we might not be able to get you to a big hospital quickly. Do you understand? 2 more blinks. Yes, he understood. Are you scared? Diego looked at his father, then back at Maya. 1 slow blink. No, he wasn't scared. I'm scared enough for both of us, Maya whispered. Carlos squeezed his son's other hand. Whatever happens, we'll be together. Dr. Liu had prepared the clinic for emergency surgery. When they arrived at midnight, everything was ready: surgical lights, anesthesia equipment, and the computer-guided robot that would place Diego's neural interface. "This is our best shot," Dr. Liu told them as Diego was wheeled into the operating room. "The robot will be more precise than human hands, but the risks are still real." Carlos kissed Diego's forehead before the anesthesia mask went over his face. "Te amo, mijo. I'll see you when you wake up." Maya and Elon waited in the small recovery room as Dr. Liu worked. The surgery took longer than expected, 6 hours instead of 4. The tumor was bigger than the scans showed, Dr. Liu explained when he finally emerged. "I had to work around it carefully, but the neural interface is in place." "Did it work?" Maya asked. "We won't know until he wakes up." Diego woke up slowly, blinking in confusion at the unfamiliar ceiling. Maya was beside his bed immediately. "Hey, little brother, how do you feel?" Diego tried to speak, but only a whisper came out. "Thirsty." Maya and Carlos both started crying. It was the first word Diego had spoken in 8 months. "The neural interface is working," Dr. Liu confirmed, checking Diego's brain monitor. "But his voice will be weak for a while." The surgery was close to his speech centers. Over the next few hours, Diego's abilities returned gradually. He could move his eyes normally. He could whisper short words. And when Maya brought him a computer tablet, he could control it perfectly with his thoughts. "Watch this, Papa," Diego whispered, making words appear on the screen just by thinking about them. Carlos read the message aloud. "Thank you for never giving up on me." But their celebration was interrupted by the sound of sirens outside the clinic. Through the window, Maya saw police cars and an ambulance pulling up. "Someone reported the illegal surgery," Dr. Liu said grimly. "We need to get Diego to a real hospital now." As the police entered the clinic, Maya made a decision that would change everything. She stood up and faced the officers. "I'm Dr. Maya Rodriguez. This is my brother, and I take full responsibility for this procedure." "Maya, no," Elon started. "It's okay," she said firmly. "Diego is alive. He can talk. The surgery worked. That's all that matters." One of the police officers stepped forward. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for practicing medicine without proper licensing and conducting illegal medical procedures." As they handcuffed Maya, she looked back at Diego on the hospital gurney. He was trying to sit up, his eyes wide with fear. "It's okay, mijo," Carlos said, holding his son's hand. Maya did what she had to do. "Papa," Diego whispered, his voice getting stronger. "Don't let them take her." But it was too late. Maya was already being led away in handcuffs, leaving Carlos and Diego to face the uncertain future alone. Elon followed the police car to the station, his mind racing. Maya had saved her brother's life, but now she might lose her freedom. And Diego still needed weeks of recovery and therapy to fully use his neural interface. As he sat in the police station waiting to post Maya's bail, Elon realized that their biggest challenges were just beginning. The technology worked. Diego was alive and talking. But the price of that success was higher than any of them had imagined. Maya spent 3 days in county jail before Elon could arrange her bail. When she finally walked out, reporters were waiting with cameras and microphones. "Dr. Rodriguez, why? Did you perform illegal surgery on your own brother? Do you regret risking your medical career? Is it true that Elon Musk funded your research?" Maya pushed through the crowd without answering. Elon was waiting in his car, and they drove straight to the hospital. Diego looked stronger already. The color had returned to his face, and he was sitting up in bed, typing messages on a tablet with his thoughts. "Maya," he said aloud when she entered his room. His voice was still weak, but it was definitely his voice. "Hey, little brother." Maya hugged him carefully, mindful of the wires and sensors connected to his head. "How are you feeling?" "Amazing. Watch this." Diego concentrated, and words appeared. On the tablet screen, "I can think in Spanish or English, and the computer understands both languages." Carlos appeared in the doorway, carrying coffee for everyone. The doctors say Diego's brain activity is completely normal. The neural interface is working perfectly. "Any side effects?" Maya asked. "Sometimes I get headaches when I use it for too long," Diego admitted. "But Dr. Williams says that's normal. My brain is still learning to work with the computer." Maya sat beside the bed and examined the neural interface carefully. The small device behind Diego's ear was barely visible under his hair. Does it hurt? No. It feels like having a new sense. Like suddenly being able to see colors I never knew existed. Dr. Williams knocked on the door frame. Maya, I'm glad you're back. We need to talk about Diego's discharge plan. They stepped into the hallway, leaving Carlos and Elon with Diego. The surgery was completely successful, Dr. Williams said. But Diego will need months of therapy to fully master the neural interface. And given the legal situation, the hospital doesn't want to be associated with illegal procedures, Maya finished. I'm sorry, the board is worried about liability, but I can recommend excellent rehabilitation centers. Maya nodded. She had expected this. What about criminal charges? The district attorney is still deciding. Performing surgery without proper licensing is a felony. But the fact that you were trying to save your dying brother, public opinion is on your side. Indeed, the story had exploded across social media. #SaveDiego was trending worldwide. Thousands of people were sharing Diego's story and defending Maya's choice. But not everyone supported her. Dr. Patricia Santos from the Medical Ethics Board appeared on the evening news that night. What Dr. Rodriguez did was dangerous and irresponsible, she said. Medical procedures require oversight for good reasons. What if the surgery had failed? What if Diego had died? Maya watched the interview from Diego's hospital room, her jaw clenched. She doesn't understand, Diego said, using his neural interface. To type his response, I was already dying. Maya gave me a chance to live. Elon had been unusually quiet all day. As evening approached, he asked Maya to walk with him to the hospital cafeteria. There's something I need to tell you, he said, once they were alone, about why I really wanted to help with your research. Maya studied his face. Okay. Elon took a deep breath. I had a son who died when he was a baby. Nevada. He died of SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. I'm sorry, Maya said softly. For years after Nevada died, I threw myself into work. Tesla, SpaceX, anything to avoid thinking about him. But when I met you and Diego, it brought back all those feelings. Is that why you funded my research? Guilt. At first, maybe. But then I realized something. Nevada's death taught me that. All the money and technology in the world can't bring back someone you've lost. But maybe it can save someone else's family from going through that pain. Maya was quiet for a moment. What else haven't you told me? Elon hesitated. The neural interface technology you're using? It wasn't just similar to what Neuralink abandoned. It was based on Neuralink research. What do you mean? 3 years ago, when we shut down the neural interface project, I had the research files sealed, classified, but I gave them to you through the shell company funding. Maya stared at him. You gave me stolen Neuralink technology? I gave you research that could save your brother. Research that was sitting in a vault doing nothing while kids like Diego suffered. Elon, that's corporate espionage. Theft of intellectual property. It's my intellectual property. I own Neuralink. Maya began to pace. This makes everything worse. Not only did I perform illegal surgery, I used stolen technology to do it. Maya, if this comes out in court, they'll say I'm a criminal who stole technology and experimented on my own brother. The technology saved Diego's life, and it could destroy both our careers. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She sat in Diego's room, watching him sleep peacefully for the first time in months. The neural interface was charging on his bedside table, its small lights blinking quietly. Carlos found her there at 3 in the morning. Mija, you should rest. Papa, what if I made the wrong choice? What if saving Diego ruins everything? Carlos sat down beside her. Do you remember when you were 8 and you fixed our old television? You told Elon that story. What I didn't tell him was why the television was broken. I had been working 3 jobs, sleeping 4 hours a night. I was so tired that I dropped the TV trying to move it to a new apartment. Maya looked at her father. I didn't know that. I was so ashamed. We couldn't afford to replace it, and it was our only entertainment. You saw me crying over it, and you decided to fix it yourself. I just took it apart and put it back together. You were 8 years old. You had never seen the inside of a television before, but you weren't afraid to try because you loved your family more than you feared failure. Carlos took Maya's hand. That's what you did for Diego. You weren't afraid to risk everything because you love him more than you fear the consequences. But what if the consequences destroy us? Then we face them together, as a family. The next morning brought unexpected news. Dr. Morrison from the FDA called Maya personally. Dr. Rodriguez, I've been following your case in the media. The surgery you performed, it was remarkably successful. Dr. Morrison, I know I broke protocol. You saved your brothers. Life with experimental technology that works better than anything we've seen in clinical trials. I want to fast-track FDA approval for your neural interface. Maya was speechless. We're prepared to grant emergency approval for compassionate use cases, Dr. Morrison continued. Other families shouldn't have to choose between watching their children die and breaking the law. What about the criminal charges? I've spoken with the district attorney. Given the successful outcome and the FDA's support for your technology, they're willing to consider reduced charges. Community service, instead of jail time. After hanging up, Maya found Elon in the hospital lobby, talking to a group of reporters. The neural interface technology that saved Diego Rodriguez will soon be available to help other children with similar conditions, he was saying. This is just the beginning. Maya approached the microphones. The reporters immediately shifted their attention to her. Dr. Rodriguez, how does it feel to know your brother's surgery was successful? It feels like a miracle, Maya said honestly. But it's a miracle that came with a price. I had to choose between following the rules and saving my brother's life. Do you regret your decision? Maya looked through the lobby windows toward Diego's room upstairs. I regret that the system forced me to make that choice. No family should have to choose between legal approval and their child's life. What's next for your research? Making sure other families have options I didn't have. Making sure experimental treatments can be accessed legally when children are dying. That evening, Maya sat with Diego as he worked on a new project. Using his neural interface, he was creating digital art, abstract paintings that reflected his thoughts and emotions. This one is about the surgery, Diego said, showing her a swirling pattern of dark blues and bright yellows. The dark parts are the fear. The yellow is hope. It's beautiful, Maya said. Maya, Diego's voice was getting stronger every day. What you did for me. I know it wasn't easy. You're my brother. I would do anything for you. I know, but I also know it cost you a lot. Your hand, your reputation, maybe your career. Maya looked at her paralyzed left hand. She had adapted to using only her right hand, but simple tasks still frustrated her. Diego, do you remember what Papa used to tell us when we were little? About why he came to America. He said he wanted us to have choices he never had. Exactly. And because of what he sacrificed, I had the education and opportunity to develop technology that saved your life. My sacrifices are worth it if they give other families the same choices. Diego concentrated on his neural interface, and new words appeared on his tablet. Then let's make sure my recovery helps other kids too. Maya smiled. How? I want to be part of the research. Help test new features. Work with other kids who get the neural interface. Show them it's not scary. Diego, you've been through enough. No, Maya. I've been through the worst part. Now I want to help with the best part. Outside Diego's room, Elon and Carlos were talking quietly. The legal troubles aren't over, Elon was saying. Maya still faces charges, and if the Neuralink connection comes out, then we deal with it, Carlos said firmly. Maya saved Diego's life. Everything else is just paperwork. Carlos, this could affect both our reputations. My company's, Maya's career, Mr. Musk, Carlos interrupted. 2 months ago, my son was dying and couldn't speak. Tonight, he's creating art with his thoughts and planning to help other children. Whatever the cost, it was worth it. Elon nodded slowly. Carlos was right. They had accomplished something extraordinary. Diego was alive, talking, and looking toward the future instead of facing death. But as Elon looked toward the future, he realized their story was far from over. In fact, the hardest part might still be ahead. 2 weeks later, Elon sat in a conference room at Tesla headquarters, staring at a letter from Neuralink's board of directors. The words seemed to blur together as he read them for the third time. Motion to remove Elon Musk as CEO for unauthorized disclosure of proprietary technology. His phone buzzed. Maya's name appeared on the screen. Elon, we have a problem, she said when he answered. Someone leaked the Neuralink connection to the press. How bad is it? Front page of the Austin American-Statesman. Local doctor used stolen tech to save brother. They're calling for a federal investigation. Elon closed his eyes. He had known this day would come. Where are you? At the hospital with Diego. Reporters are trying to get into his room. I'll be right there. When Elon arrived at Dell Children's Medical Center, the parking lot was full of news vans. Security guards were keeping reporters away from the main entrance, but photographers with long lenses were taking pictures through every window. Maya met him at a side entrance, her face grim. Diego's scared. He doesn't understand why people are angry about his surgery. They took the service elevator to avoid reporters in the main lobby. In Diego's room, they found Carlos sitting protectively beside his son's bed while Diego worked on his tablet, trying to ignore the chaos outside. "How are you holding up, buddy?" Elon asked. Diego looked up with tired eyes. "The reporters keep shouting questions through the window. Something about you stealing computer files. It's complicated," Elon said, "but you don't need to worry about it. Maya says we might have to give back the neural interface." Maya sat on the edge of the bed. "The FBI is investigating whether we broke federal laws by using Neuralink technology. If they decide we did, they could confiscate the device as evidence." Elon finished. Diego's eyes widened. "But I need it. Without the interface, I can't talk normally. I can't control my wheelchair." "We won't let that happen," Carlos said firmly. But even as he spoke the words, Carlos wasn't sure how they could prevent it. The legal system didn't care that Diego was finally living a normal life. They only cared about rules and procedures. Dr. Williams appeared in the doorway, looking stressed. "I'm sorry to interrupt, but there are federal agents here. They want to examine Diego's neural interface." Two FBI agents in dark suits followed her into the room. The older agent, Special Agent Rebecca Torres, showed her badge to everyone present. "We're here to investigate potential theft of intellectual property," Agent Torres said. "We need to examine the device implanted in Diego Rodriguez." "That device is keeping my son alive," Carlos said, standing up. "Sir, we understand this is difficult, but if the technology was obtained illegally, the technology saved Diego's life," Maya interrupted. "Isn't that what matters?" "What matters is following the law," Agent Torres replied. "Dr. Rodriguez, you're already facing charges for performing unauthorized surgery. Using stolen technology makes this a federal case." Elon stepped forward. "Agent Torres, I'm the one who provided the technology to Dr. Rodriguez. If anyone broke the law, it was me. Mr. Musk, Neuralink's board has filed a complaint claiming you disclosed proprietary information without authorization. I own 45% of Neuralink. I didn't steal anything. But you did violate your fiduciary duty to the other shareholders by giving away valuable technology." Diego had been listening to the conversation with growing fear. Finally, he spoke up, his voice barely a whisper. "Are you going to take away my voice again?" The room went silent. Agent Torres looked at the 16-year-old boy, seeing him clearly for the first time. "Son, we're just trying to understand what happened." "What happened is that I was dying," Diego said, his voice getting stronger. "I couldn't talk or move or tell my family I love them. Maya risked everything to give me my life back." Diego concentrated on his neural interface, and words appeared on his tablet. Agent Torres read them aloud. "If you take this away from me, you're not enforcing the law. You're stealing my future." Agent Torres looked uncomfortable. "We're not here to hurt you, Diego, but there are legal issues that need to be resolved. Then resolve them without destroying my family," Carlos said quietly. The younger agent, Agent Martinez, had been examining the neural interface equipment. "The device appears to be functioning normally," he reported. "No immediate safety concerns. We'll need to take the device for analysis," Agent Torres said. "No," Diego said firmly. "I won't let you." "Diego, we can get a court order, then get one. But until you do, this device stays with me." Maya looked at her brother with pride. Even facing federal agents, Diego was standing up for himself. Dr. Williams stepped forward. "Agents, removing the neural interface would require surgery. Diego is still recovering from his procedure. Any unnecessary operation could be dangerous." "How long until he's fully recovered?" Agent Torres asked. "Several more weeks. Maybe months." Agent Torres exchanged looks with her partner. "We'll need to discuss this with our supervisors." After the agents left, the family sat in stunned silence. Finally, Diego broke the quiet. "Maya, what happens if they make me give back the neural interface?" Maya took his hand. "We'll fight it. Elon has lawyers. The FDA supports the technology now, and public opinion is on our side. But what if we lose? Maya hesitated. The truth was that losing the legal battle could mean Diego would lose his ability to communicate normally. Worse, other children who could benefit from the technology might never get the chance. We won't lose, she said with more confidence than she felt. That evening, Elon called an emergency meeting at his Austin office. Maya, Carlos, and Diego attended, along with Elon's top lawyers. The situation is serious, lead attorney David Kim explained. The FBI investigation could result in federal charges against both Elon and Maya. The Neuralink board is demanding that all research files be returned. What about Diego? Carlos asked. He gets to keep the neural interface for now. But if we lose in court, the government could order its removal. Diego leaned forward in his wheelchair. Can they really make me have surgery to take it out? They could try, David Kim said carefully. But forcing unnecessary surgery on a minor would be difficult to justify, unless they argue that the device was illegally obtained, another lawyer added. Elon had been quiet throughout the meeting. Finally, he spoke up. What if I take full responsibility? What if I publicly admit that I gave Maya the Neuralink technology without proper authorization? Elon, that could result in criminal charges, David Kim warned. So what? Diego is alive and healthy. That's worth more than my reputation. Maya shook her head. I won't let you sacrifice yourself for my decisions. It wasn't just your decision. I chose to help you. I chose to give you the technology. I chose to fund the research. And I chose to use it to save my brother, Maya said firmly. We're in this together. Diego used his neural interface to type a message. Maybe that's exactly what we should tell everyone. Carlos read the message aloud, then looked at his son. What do you mean, Mijo? At the press conference tomorrow, instead of trying to explain who's responsible for what, we tell the truth. All of it. We tell them that sometimes breaking rules is the only way to save lives. Diego, the press conference is supposed to announce FDA approval of the neural interface, Maya said. It's supposed to be good news. It is good news. But people need to understand what it took to get here. Elon studied Diego's face. Despite everything the boy had been through, he was thinking clearly about the bigger picture. What exactly are you suggesting? Elon asked. Diego concentrated on his tablet again. I think we should tell our whole story. Not just the happy ending, but everything. The risks, the illegal surgery, the stolen technology, all of it. That could make the legal situation worse, David Kim warned. Or it could make people understand why we had to do what we did, Diego typed. Other families are going through what we went through. They need to know there are options, even if those options are scary. Maya looked at her brother with amazement. When did you get so wise? When I almost died and realized that being alive is more important than being perfect. The room was quiet as everyone considered Diego's proposal. Finally, Carlos spoke. My son is right. We tell the truth. All of it. Elon nodded slowly. Then that's what we'll do. The next morning, reporters gathered at Dell Children's Medical Center for what they expected to be a routine press conference about FDA approval of Maya's neural interface technology. Instead, they got the most honest and emotional press conference any of them had ever witnessed. Maya stood at the podium with Diego beside her in his wheelchair. Elon and Carlos flanked them on both sides. 3 months ago, Maya began, my brother was dying. The technology existed to help him, but not the legal pathway to access it. So we made a choice. She looked at Diego, who nodded encouragingly. We chose to break rules to save a life. And I want to tell you exactly how we did it. For the next hour, Maya, Elon, and Diego told their complete story. The illegal funding, the underground surgery, the stolen Neuralink technology, the federal investigation, everything. When they finished, the room was silent except for the sound of reporters typing frantically on their phones and laptops. Finally, a reporter raised her hand. Dr. Rodriguez, knowing what you know now, would you do it again? Maya looked at Diego, who was grinning despite the serious circumstances. Yes, she said without hesitation. I would do it again. That evening, as news of their press conference spread around the world, Diego created another digital artwork with his neural interface. This one showed a bridge made of light, stretching across a dark canyon. What does this one represent? Maya asked. Hope, Diego said simply. Sometimes you have to build your own bridge to get where you need to go. Outside Diego's hospital room, Elon and Carlos watched the news coverage of their press conference. Think we did the right thing?" Elon asked. "Look at Diego," Carlos replied. 3 months ago, he couldn't speak. Tonight, he's teaching the world about courage. The legal battles aren't over. No, but Diego is alive and fighting beside us now. That changes everything." Elon nodded. Carlos was right. Whatever happened next, they would face it as a family. A family that had learned sometimes the most important rules are the ones written in the heart, not in law books. The press conference changed everything. Within 24 hours, #TruthOverRules was trending globally. Families with disabled children shared their own stories of fighting bureaucracy for experimental treatments. Medical professionals debated the ethics of Maya's choices. Politicians called for reform of FDA approval processes. But for Diego, the most important change was much simpler. He could finally go home. "Are you ready, Mijo?" Carlos asked, wheeling a suitcase into Diego's hospital room. Diego was sitting in his new wheelchair, a high-tech model that responded to his neural interface. Just by thinking about direction and speed, he could move anywhere he wanted. "I've been ready for 8 months, Diego said, grinning at Dr. Williams came in with Diego's discharge papers. "Remember, Diego, you need to come back twice a week for therapy sessions. The neural interface is working perfectly, but your brain is still learning to use it efficiently. How long until I can do everything a normal teenager can do?" Diego asked. "You're already doing more than most teenagers, Dr. Williams smiled. "But full integration of the neural interface? Maybe 6 months. Maybe a year. Every brain is different." Maya packed Diego's art supplies. He had become obsessed with creating digital paintings through his neural interface. His artwork was getting attention from galleries around the world. People called it the world's first true mind art. "Maya," Diego said as they prepared to leave, "I want to show you something." He concentrated on his tablet, and a new image appeared. It showed their family's small house with warm light glowing from every window. "Home," Diego typed. "I never thought I'd see it again." The Rodriguez house hadn't changed in the months Diego was hospitalized, but it felt completely different. Carlos had installed ramps for Diego's wheelchair and computer stations where Diego could work on his art and help other neural interface patients online. "This is perfect, Papa," Diego said, rolling through the living room. "But I want to do something for you too." "What do you mean?" Diego's eyes sparkled with mischief. "How long have you been working nights at the hospital?" 15 years. "What?" "Because Elon offered you a day job at Tesla. Better pay, health insurance, and you'd be home for dinner every night." Carlos looked shocked. "Diego, I can't just—" "Papa," Maya interrupted. "When was the last time you did something for yourself instead of for us? Your children are my joy. I don't need— You need to live your own life too," Diego said firmly. "I'm not dying anymore. You don't have to spend every moment taking care of me." That evening, Elon came to dinner at the Rodriguez house. It was the first time Diego had sat at a family dinner table in almost a year. "Carlos," Elon said over Maya's homemade tamales, "I meant what I said about the Tesla job. We need someone to manage our Austin facilities. Someone who understands what it means to work hard for family." "I don't know anything about electric cars," Carlos protested. "You know about people. You know about dedication. The rest we can teach you." Diego used his neural interface to control the television, switching to a news program. The reporter was discussing the ongoing federal investigation. Government officials say the investigation into possible technology theft is ongoing. Meanwhile, families across the country are demanding access to similar neural interface treatments for their own children. Maya muted the sound. "Any word from your lawyers?" she asked Elon. "The Neuralink board is still trying to remove me as CEO. But Tesla's board supports me completely. So does SpaceX." "What about criminal charges?" "The FBI is taking its time. Public opinion matters in cases like this. And public opinion is overwhelmingly on our side." Diego had been quiet during the legal discussion. Finally, he spoke up. "I've been thinking about something. What if the federal investigation is actually good for us?" "How could it be good?" Maya asked. "Because it's forcing everyone to pay attention to neural interface technology. Before our story, most people didn't even know this existed. Now every family with a disabled child is asking their doctors about it." Elon nodded slowly. "Diego's right. The FDA has fast-tracked approval for compassionate use cases. 3 other hospitals have started neural interface programs based on Maya's research. Really? Maya looked surprised. Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, Boston Children's, and Seattle Children's. They're all using your surgical protocols and interface design. Maya felt tears in her eyes. Other kids are getting help. 12 children have received neural interfaces in the past month. All successful surgeries. All based on the protocols you developed for Diego. Diego concentrated on his tablet. See? Sometimes breaking rules leads to better rules. Over the following weeks, their lives developed a new rhythm. Maya worked with hospitals around the country, training surgeons in neural interface procedures. Diego continued his physical therapy and started taking online college courses. He wanted to study bioengineering to help improve the technology that saved his life. Carlos took the job at Tesla and discovered he loved working with electric vehicle technology. It's like learning a new language, he told his children, but a language that helps save the planet. Elon split his time between his companies and the New Rodriguez Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to making neural interface technology available to families who couldn't afford it. But their peaceful new life was interrupted by a phone call from Agent Torres. "Dr. Rodriguez, we've completed our investigation," she said when Maya answered. "I'd like to meet with you, Diego, and Mr. Musk tomorrow." "Are you arresting us?" Maya asked. "Just come to the federal building at 10 a.m. Bring your lawyers." The next morning, Maya, Diego, Carlos, and Elon sat in a conference room at the federal building, surrounded by lawyers. Agent Torres entered with a thick file folder. After extensive investigation, she began, "We've determined that while proper protocols were not followed, no federal crimes were committed." Everyone in the room exhaled with relief. "Mr. Musk, as majority owner of Neuralink, you had the legal right to share proprietary technology. Your board may not like it, but it wasn't theft." And Dr. Rodriguez, Agent Torres continued, "While you performed surgery without proper licensing, the successful outcome and subsequent FDA approval of your procedures demonstrate that you acted in good faith to save your brother's life. So no criminal charges." Maya asked, "The district attorney has agreed to reduce charges to community service. 500 hours working with other families seeking experimental medical treatments." Diego raised his hand. "Can I help with the community service? I want to talk to other kids who might get neural interfaces." Agent Torres smiled, the first time any of them had seen her smile. "I think that could be arranged." After the meeting, the family celebrated at Diego's favorite restaurant. As they ate, Diego worked on a new digital painting. This one showed 4 figures standing together on a mountaintop, looking out at a sunrise. "What does this one mean?" Carlos asked. "Family," Diego said simply, "and new beginnings." But as they celebrated their legal victory, none of them knew that their biggest challenge was still ahead. In 3 weeks, Elon would be asked to speak at the Austin Technology Gala, and what he planned to say would surprise everyone, including Maya. That night, Elon sat in his office, writing notes for his gala speech. He had been asked to tell a joke, something light to end the evening. But looking at the pictures on his desk, Nevada as a baby, and a new photo of Diego creating art with his neural interface, Elon knew he couldn't tell jokes, but he had a different story to tell. A story about love, loss, and the courage to break rules when lives are at stake. That a story that would start with the words, "A billionaire, a janitor, and a dying child walk into a hospital." Diego had been right about one thing. Sometimes the most important changes happen when people are brave enough to tell the truth, even when the truth is complicated and difficult. Especially then, Maya knocked on Elon's office door. Working late. Again, just thinking about the gala speech. Maya sat down across from his desk. "Still planning to tell a joke?" "Actually, I was thinking about telling our story instead." "Our story, the whole thing. How we met, what we went through, what we learned. The real story behind the headlines." Maya was quiet for a moment. "That's not a joke. No, it's something much more important. Elon, the gala audience will be expecting entertainment, not a medical drama. Maybe that's exactly why they need to hear it." Maya studied his face. Over the past few months, she had watched Elon transform from a distant tech billionaire into someone who understood that the most important innovations happen in the heart, not in laboratories. "If you tell our story," Maya said, "you have to tell all of it. The mistakes, the risks, the parts that don't make us look like heroes." especially those parts. And you have to explain why it mattered. Why Diego's life was worth all the chaos and controversy. Elon picked up the photo of Diego. In it, the teenager was laughing while controlling his wheelchair with his thoughts, racing Carlos around the Tesla facility. I think Diego can explain that better than I can, Elon said. What do you mean? I mean, maybe he should be at the gala with us. Maybe our story isn't complete without hearing from the person it was really about. Maya smiled. He'd love that. But are you sure you want to share our family with the whole world? Elon thought about Carlos working night shifts to support his children's dreams. About Maya sacrificing her hand and career to save her brother. About Diego choosing courage over safety, hope over fear. Maya, your family taught me something I'd forgotten. Some things are too important to keep private. 3 weeks later, as Elon prepared to take the stage at the Austin Technology Gala, he looked out at the audience of tech leaders, investors, and journalists. In the third row, Maya sat beside Diego's wheelchair, both of them nervous but proud. Carlos was there too, wearing a new suit that Diego had insisted on buying him. You're part of this story too, Papa, Diego had said. Everyone needs to see. The man who made it all possible. Elon had been asked to tell a joke. Instead, he was about to tell the most important story of his life, that a story about what happens when love is stronger than fear, when families refuse to give up, and when breaking the rules becomes the only way to save what matters most. He stepped up to the microphone, looked directly at Maya and Diego, and began. A billionaire, a janitor, and a dying child walk into a hospital. 3 weeks before the Austin Technology Gala, Maya stood in front of her bedroom mirror, trying on the dress Elon had insisted on buying for her. It was elegant but simple, navy blue with long sleeves to hide the scars on her left arm. You look beautiful, Mija, Carlos said from the doorway. I look terrified, Maya replied, adjusting the dress with her right hand. Her left hand hung motionless at her side. That's because you're about to do something brave. Diego rolled into the room in his wheelchair, wearing a new suit. Maya, are you sure about this? Speaking in front of all those important people. I'm not the one speaking. Elon is. But he's telling our story. That makes you part of it. Maya sat on her bed, suddenly feeling overwhelmed. Diego, what if people think we're just looking for attention? What if they think we're trying to become famous from your illness? Then they don't understand what really happened, Diego said firmly. Maya, how many kids have gotten neural interfaces because of our story? 15, as of last week. 15 families who didn't have to choose between breaking the law and watching their children suffer. That's why we're doing this. Carlos sat beside Maya on the bed. When I was young in Honduras, I watched my own father die because we couldn't afford medicine that existed. Simple medicine, but it might as well have been on the moon for all we could reach it. Maya looked at her father. He rarely talked about his childhood. I came to America, so that would never happen to my children. But the system almost failed us anyway. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is tell people how broken things really are. The next day, they visited the Four Seasons Hotel where the gala would be held. Sarah Chun, the event coordinator, gave them a tour of the ballroom. We're expecting 800 guests, Sarah explained. Tech CEOs, investors, researchers, journalists. The Austin Technology Gala is the biggest event of the year. The ballroom was enormous, with crystal chandeliers and round tables set with white linens. A stage at the front held a podium with microphones. Diego rolled his wheelchair onto the stage and looked out at the empty tables. It's bigger than I imagined. Having second thoughts, Elon asked, joining them on stage. No, just trying to picture all those people listening to our story. Sarah Chun checked her clipboard. Mr. Musk, you're scheduled for closing remarks at 9:30. The audience will be expecting something light to end the evening. They'll get something meaningful instead, Elon replied. Sir, with respect, people have been eating and drinking for hours by that time. They want entertainment, not. They want to feel like their work matters, Elon interrupted. Like technology can actually improve human lives. Our story shows them exactly that. That evening, they had dinner at the Rodriguez house to practice Elon's speech. Diego had helped write parts of it, adding details that only he could provide. Remember, Diego said as Elon reviewed his notes, when you talk about the first time we met, mention how you looked sad when you saw me in the hospital bed. I don't remember looking sad. You did. Maya noticed it too. Like you understood what. It felt like to lose someone. Maya nodded. That's when I first thought you might actually care about helping Diego, not just making yourself look good. And when you talk about the illegal surgery, Carlos added, make sure people understand. It wasn't reckless. Every decision was careful, even if it broke rules. Elon read through the speech again. It told their complete story, from his first meeting with Maya through Diego's recovery. But he ended with something none of them expected. Maya, he said, looking up from his notes, there's something I want to ask you. At the gala, what kind of something? The kind of something that requires this. Elon pulled a small velvet box from his jacket pocket. Maya stared at the box. Elon, you can't be serious. Why not? We've been through everything together. We've built something amazing together. Not just the neural interface, a family. Diego grinned and clapped his hands. I knew it. Maya, you have to say yes. Diego, it's not that simple. Why not? Carlos asked gently. Do you love him? Maya looked at Elon, remembering all the nights they had worked together in the lab, all the times he had held her when she cried, all the ways he had become part of their family. Yes, she said quietly. I do love him. Then it is that simple, Carlos said. But proposing at the gala? In front of 800 people? Maya, Elon said, our whole relationship has been public. The funding, the research, the surgery, the investigation. Why should this be different? Because this is personal. So is everything else. Diego's illness was personal. Your sacrifice was personal. Our love grew out of all those personal moments. Diego used his neural interface to type a message on his tablet. Besides, if you say yes, it will be the best ending to our story. Maya laughed despite her nervousness. And if I say no, then it will be the most honest ending, Elon said. But I'm hoping for the best one. The week before the gala, reporters began calling constantly. Word had leaked that Elon's speech would be about the Rodriguez family story. Dr. Rodriguez, is it true that Mr. Musk plans to propose at the gala? One reporter asked when Maya answered her phone. No comment, Maya said, hanging up, but the speculation continued. Hashtag Elon Maya proposal started trending on social media. Photographers camped outside their house. Diego found it amusing. Maya, we're famous, he said, watching a news van park across the street. I didn't want to be famous. I just wanted to save your life. You did save my life. Now other people want to know how. Dr. Williams called to tell them that applications for neural interface procedures had increased 500% since news of the gala speech spread. Families are calling from all over the world, she said. Parents who thought their children had no hope are suddenly seeing possibilities. That's what we wanted, Maya said. But are you ready for what comes next? If Elon's speech goes viral, you'll become the most famous medical researcher in the world. Maya hadn't thought about that. She had been focused on the gala itself, not what might happen afterward. That night, she talked to Diego about her fears. What if people expect too much from me? What if I can't help all the families who want neural interfaces for their children? Maya, do you remember what you told me when I was first diagnosed with the brain tumor? I told you a lot of things. You said that doctors can't save everyone, but they have to try to save the ones they can. That's all anyone can ask of you. But now the stakes are so much higher. The stakes were always high. We just didn't know how many people were watching. 2 days before the gala, Maya received an unexpected visitor. Dr. Rachel Morrison from the FDA came to the house with a proposal. Dr. Rodriguez, I want to offer you a position as Director of Experimental Medical Devices. You'd oversee approval processes for breakthrough technologies like neural interfaces. Maya was stunned. You want me to work for the FDA? We need someone who understands both the science and the human cost of our approval delays. Someone who's been on both sides of the system. I'm not sure I'm qualified. You saved your brother's life with experimental technology, navigated federal investigations, and helped establish protocols that other hospitals are now using successfully. You're the most qualified person in the country. After Dr. Morrison left, Maya sat with her family to discuss the offer. It would mean moving to Washington, she said. Leaving Austin, leaving the hospital where everything started. But think of all the families you could help, Carlos said. All the children like Diego who need experimental treatments. And you could change the system from the inside, Diego added. Make sure other families don't have to break laws to save their children. Elon had been quiet during the discussion. Finally, Maya asked what he thought. I think, he said carefully, that you should do whatever makes you happiest. Whether that's the FDA job, staying here in Austin, or something completely different. What about us? What about the proposal? Maya, I fell in love with you because you're brave enough to fight for what's right. If fighting means taking a job in Washington, then that's what you should do. Even if it means a long-distance relationship. Even then, though I might have to buy a house in DC. Diego grinned. Does that mean you're still going to propose at the gala? That depends on whether your sister wants me to. Maya looked around the room at her family. Carlos, who had sacrificed everything to give his children opportunities. Diego, who had faced death with courage and emerged as an advocate for other children. And Elon, who had learned to put family before business. Yes, she said. Ask me at the gala. In front of everyone. Even though you might say no. Even though I might say yes. The night before the gala, they held a family dinner with all of Diego's favorite foods. As they ate, Diego created a new digital artwork with his neural interface. This one showing a stage with 5 figures standing together under bright lights. What's this one? Maya asked. Tomorrow night, Diego said. All of us together, telling our story to the world. Are you nervous? Carlos asked his son. A little, but mostly excited. How many 16-year-olds get to be part of changing the world? Just the brave ones, Maya said, squeezing Diego's hand. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She walked out to the backyard where she and Diego used to stargaze before he got sick. Elon found her there, looking up at the clear Austin sky. Cold feet, he asked. About tomorrow? About the speech? About your proposal? Or about the fact that our entire life is about to change? Any of those. Maya leaned against him. All of those. But also excited about all of those. Whatever happens tomorrow, we'll face it together. Promise. Promise. Above them, the stars shone brightly over Austin. The same stars that had watched Carlos arrive from Honduras 20 years ago with dreams for his children. The same stars that had shone on Diego's darkest nights in the hospital. The same stars that would witness their story being shared with the world. Tomorrow, everything would change. But tonight, they were just a family who had learned that love could overcome any obstacle, even death itself. The Four Seasons Hotel buzzed with energy as Austin's tech elite gathered for the annual technology gala. Maya stood in the hotel suite, checking her appearance one last time. The navy dress fit perfectly, and her hair covered the small scar behind her ear where her own neural interface had been implanted. Ready, Mija? Carlos asked, adjusting his new tie. He looked handsome in his dark suit, though Maya could tell he was nervous about the formal event. As ready as I'll ever be, Maya replied. Diego rolled his wheelchair into the suite's living room, looking sharp in his black tuxedo. The neural interface behind his ear was barely visible, but the confidence in his eyes was unmistakable. How do I look? Diego asked, spinning his wheelchair in a circle just because he could. Like someone who's about to inspire 800 people, Maya said, kissing his forehead. Elon emerged from the bedroom, straightening his bow tie. His hands were shaking slightly, something Maya had never seen before. Nervous? She asked. Terrified. He admitted. I've given hundreds of presentations about rockets and cars. But talking about us? About what really matters? That's different. It's just the truth, Diego said simply. The truth is never wrong to tell. They rode the elevator down to the ballroom in comfortable silence. Maya could hear music and laughter through the doors. When they opened, she gasped. The ballroom had been transformed into a technological wonderland. Holographic displays showed innovations from Austin's tech companies. Interactive screens let guests control robots and drones with hand gestures. But what struck Maya most was the energy. 800 brilliant minds gathered to celebrate human innovation. Sarah Chin greeted them at the entrance. The Rodriguez family. You're at table 12, right up front. Mr. Musk, you'll be introduced in about an hour. As they made their way to their table, Maya noticed people staring and whispering. Some pointed at Diego's wheelchair, others at her left arm in its decorative sling. Their story had made them recognizable to anyone who followed tech news. Dr. Rodriguez? A woman approached their table. I'm Dr. Lisa Park from Stanford. I wanted to thank you. My daughter has cerebral palsy, and we're scheduled for a neural interface procedure next month based on your protocols. Maya felt her chest tighten with emotion. How old is your daughter? 8. She hasn't been able to speak clearly since birth. But after seeing what you accomplished with Diego, the procedure has risks, Maya said carefully. Make sure you understand, Dr. Rodriguez. Dr. Park interrupted gently. 6 months ago, we had no hope. Now we have a chance. That's everything. After Dr. Park left, similar conversations continued throughout dinner. Parents thanked Maya for giving them options. Researchers asked about her techniques. Entrepreneurs wanted to fund neural interface. Startups. Maya, Diego whispered during the main course. Look around. Everyone here is talking about helping people instead of just making money. He was right. The usual tech gala conversations about stock prices and market valuations had been replaced by discussions about medical applications, accessibility, and ethics. Dr. James Liu appeared at their table, looking different in a formal suit instead of surgical scrubs. Dr. Rodriguez, Diego, I wanted to thank you. Because of the attention your case brought to experimental medicine, I've been offered a position at Johns Hopkins, a chance to return to legitimate medical practice. That's wonderful, Maya said. You deserve recognition for your skills. I also wanted to tell you that 3 more underground medical facilities have closed because patients now have legal options for experimental treatments. Your story changed the entire landscape. As dinner ended, Sarah Chun took the stage to introduce the evening speakers. First came presentations about artificial intelligence, renewable energy, and space exploration. The audience politely applauded, but Maya could sense restlessness. Finally, Sarah returned to the microphone. Our closing speaker tonight was asked to share something light to end our evening. Instead, he's chosen to tell us a story about what happens when technology serves humanity's deepest needs. Please welcome Elon Musk. The applause was enthusiastic, but routine. Maya watched Elon walk to the podium, his speech notes in hand. When he reached the microphone, he set the notes aside and looked directly at her. A billionaire, a janitor, and a dying child walk into a hospital. He began. The audience chuckled, expecting a punchline. But Elon's expression remained serious. 3 months ago, that's exactly what happened. I was the billionaire on a routine visit for a publicity photo. Carlos Rodriguez was the janitor, working nights to support his family. And Diego Rodriguez was the dying child, paralyzed by a brain tumor, unable to speak to the people he loved. The chuckling stopped. 800 people leaned forward in their seats. I expected to take some pictures, shake some hands, and fly back to California. Instead, I met a family that would teach me everything I thought I knew about innovation. Was wrong. Elon gestured toward their table. Maya Rodriguez was trying to save her brother's life with experimental neural interface technology. She had applied for funding from every major tech company and foundation in America, including mine, and we all said no. Maya felt her cheeks flush as hundreds of eyes turned toward her. We said no because the research was too risky, too experimental, too far from commercial viability. We forgot that the best technology doesn't start with business plans. It starts with love. Diego used his neural interface to control a spotlight, turning it toward their table. The gesture made the audience gasp. Seeing the technology work in real time was more powerful than any explanation. Maya didn't have time for proper approvals or clinical trials. Elon continued. Her brother was dying, so she made a choice. That terrified everyone around her. She tested the neural interface on herself first. Elon paused, his voice catching slightly. The surgery damaged Maya's left hand permanently. She sacrificed her own body to prove the technology was safe enough for Diego. The ballroom was completely silent now. Then we performed a legal surgery in an underground clinic, using technology that Neuralink had abandoned as too dangerous. We broke federal laws, violated medical protocols, and risked everything on one desperate hope. That love was stronger than fear. Carlos wiped tears from his eyes as Elon continued. Diego's surgery succeeded. He can speak again, move again, create art with his thoughts. But more importantly, 15 other children have received similar implants based on Maya's protocols. Hundreds more are on waiting lists. Maya's illegal experiment became the foundation for a new era of medical treatment. Elon walked closer to the audience, abandoning the podium entirely. Here's what I learned from the Rodriguez family. Rules exist to protect people, but sometimes protecting people means breaking rules. Sometimes the most important innovations happen when brilliant people refuse to accept that suffering is inevitable. He returned to the podium and picked up a small velvet box. Maya Rodriguez taught me that real success isn't measured in stock prices or company valuations. It's measured in lives saved, families reunited, and hope restored where none existed before. Maya's heart started racing as Elon opened the box, revealing a simple but elegant ring. Maya, 3 months ago you told a reporter that money for research matters more than fancy ambulances. You were right. But what matters even more is having someone to share the work with. Someone who understands that the most important innovations come from the heart. Elon stepped away from the podium and walked toward their table. 800 people watched in complete silence as he approached Maya. Maya Rodriguez, will you marry me? The question echoed through the ballroom sound system. Maya felt like she couldn't breathe. Every person in the room was staring at her, waiting for her answer. She looked at Diego, who was grinning so widely his face might split. At Carlos, who nodded encouragingly. At Elon, whose hands were trembling as he held the ring. Yes, she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Yes, I'll marry you. The ballroom erupted. 800 tech leaders, investors, and researchers gave them a standing ovation that lasted 5 minutes. Maya laughed and cried simultaneously as Elon slipped the ring onto her finger. Ladies and gentlemen, Elon said into the microphone, I give you the future Mrs. Musk, the woman who proved that the most advanced technology in the world is a family's love for each other. Diego used his neural interface to control the ballroom's sound system, playing their favorite song, the one Carlos used to sing to his children when they were small. As the music filled the room, people began approaching their table to offer congratulations. But the most meaningful moment came when a little girl in a wheelchair rolled up to Diego. She couldn't have been more than 6 years old, and she wore a neural interface identical to his. Are you Diego? She asked in a whisper. Yes. What's your name? Sophie. I got my brain computer because of you. Diego leaned down to her level. Does it work good? Sophie concentrated, and her wheelchair moved in a perfect circle. I can drive and talk and play games just by thinking. It's like magic. It's not magic, Diego said gently. It's science. And love. Lots and lots of love. As the evening wound down, Maya stood on the hotel balcony with her new fiancé, looking out over Austin's skyline. Carlos and Diego were inside, talking to more families about neural interface procedures. Any regrets? Elon asked. About getting engaged in front of 800 strangers? A little. About everything else. Maya looked at her left hand, still weak from the surgery, then at the engagement ring on her right hand. None at all. Even though your life is about to get much more complicated. Elon, my life has been complicated since the day I decided to save my brother. But it's also been meaningful in ways I never imagined. Inside the ballroom, Diego was demonstrating his neural interface to a group of children with disabilities. Using his thoughts, he controlled lights, played music, and created digital art that appeared on large screens. See, he told them, having a disability doesn't mean you can't do amazing things. Sometimes it means you get to do things nobody else can do. Carlos watched his son with profound pride. 6 months ago, Diego had been dying. Tonight, he was inspiring other children to believe in possibilities they had never imagined. As the gala ended and guests began to leave, Maya realized that Elon's speech had accomplished something remarkable. He hadn't just told their story. He had shown 800 influential people that technology's highest purpose was serving human need, not generating profit. Tomorrow, those people would return to their companies with new perspectives. Some would fund medical research they had previously ignored. Others would prioritize accessibility over marketability. A few might even be brave enough to take risks on experimental treatments that could save lives. Maya's phone buzzed with a text from Dr. Morrison at the FDA. Saw the speech online. When can you start as Director of Experimental Medical Devices? Maya showed the message to Elon. Ready to move to Washington? For you? I'm ready for anything. As they walked toward the hotel exit, Diego called out to them. Maya, Elon, wait. He rolled his wheelchair over, holding a tablet with a new digital artwork. This one showed a family of 5 figures standing together under a starry sky, with beams of light connecting them to other families around the world. What's this one called? Maya asked. Love Multiplied, Diego said simply. Because that's what happens when you share it. Maya hugged her brother carefully, mindful of his equipment. I love you, Diego. I love you too. And I'm proud of what we did together. Even though it was scary and dangerous, and we broke a lot of rules. Especially because of that, Diego grinned. The best stories always start with someone being brave. Enough to break the rules for love. As they left the Four Seasons Hotel that night, Maya realized Diego was right. Their story wasn't ending. It was just beginning to spread to families around the world who needed to know that love, combined with courage and brilliant science, could overcome obstacles that seemed impossible. Sometimes a billionaire, a janitor, and a dying child really could walk into a hospital and change the world. 3 weeks after the gala, Maya sat in Diego's room at 5 in the morning, watching her brother sleep. Something was wrong. His breathing had become irregular during the night, and his neural interface readings showed unusual brain activity patterns. Diego, she whispered, gently touching his shoulder. He opened his eyes slowly, looking confused. Maya? What time is it? Early. How do you feel? Diego tried to sit up, but winced in pain. My head hurts. Really bad. Maya's heart sank. She had been hoping this day would never come, but Dr. Williams had warned them it was possible. The brain tumor that had nearly killed Diego once was growing again. Let's get you to the hospital, Maya said, trying to keep her voice calm. 2 hours later, Dr. Williams showed Maya and Carlos the brain scan results. The tumor had doubled in size over the past month, pressing against areas of Diego's brain that the neural interface couldn't reach. I'm sorry, Dr. Williams said quietly. The tumor is in a different location this time. Surgery isn't possible without damaging critical brain functions. What about radiation? Chemotherapy? Carlos asked desperately. We can try, but at this stage, I'm talking about weeks, not months. Maya felt the world spinning around her. How many weeks? Maybe 6. Possibly 8 if the treatments slow the tumor's growth. When they returned to Diego's hospital room, he was using his neural interface to create digital art. The painting showed a sunset over a peaceful landscape. Is it back? He asked without looking up from his tablet. Maya and Carlos exchanged glances. Diego always knew more than they thought. He did. Yes, Mijo, Carlos said gently. It's back. Diego nodded, still focused on his artwork. I thought so. The neural interface has been recording strange signals for days. Diego, we're going to fight this, Maya said. New treatments, experimental drugs, Maya. Diego finally looked at her. I'm not afraid anymore. What do you mean? I mean, I've lived more in the past 6 months than in the 16 years before that. I've talked to kids around the world. I've created art that makes people happy. I've helped change how doctors treat children like me. Diego saved his digital painting and started a new one. This one showed a tree with roots that extended deep underground and branches that reached toward the stars. Besides, he said, concentrating on the artwork, I've been working on something with Elon. Something that means this isn't really an ending. Maya frowned. What are you talking about? The neural interface doesn't just let me control computers. It records everything. My thoughts, my memories, my personality patterns. Elon and his team have been developing software that could preserve all of that. Carlos sat down heavily. Diego, what are you saying? I'm saying that even when my body stops working, my mind could keep going. In a computer, helping other kids who get neural interfaces. Teaching them, encouraging them, showing them they're not alone. Maya stared at her brother. Diego, that's not really living. Maybe not, but it's not really dying either. Over. The next few days, as Diego's condition worsened, he spent most of his time working with Elon's team to perfect the consciousness preservation software. The neural interface had been recording Diego's brain patterns for months, creating a detailed map of his thoughts and personality. It's like making a backup copy of my soul, Diego explained to a reporter who had come to interview him. When other kids get neural interfaces, I'll be there to help them learn how to use them. The story of Diego's consciousness preservation project spread quickly. Some people called it miraculous, a way to achieve digital immortality. Others called it disturbing, an attempt to cheat death that went against nature. But for the families of children with neural interfaces, it represented something else. Hope that their children would never be alone in their struggles. Maya had mixed feelings about the project. She was proud of Diego's bravery and innovation, but terrified of losing him, even if part of him would live on in computer form. "Elon," she said one evening as they sat in Diego's room, "are we doing the right thing? Or are we just making it harder to say goodbye?" "I don't know," Elon admitted, "but Diego wants this. And if his digital consciousness can help other children feel less alone, it still won't be really him, won't it? His memories, his personality, his way of thinking, all of that will be preserved. What makes someone real anyway?" Diego, who had been listening from his hospital bed, used his neural interface to join the conversation. Words appeared on his tablet. "Maya, do you remember when you taught me that energy can't be created or destroyed, only transformed?" Maya smiled through her tears. "You were 8 years old. I was trying to explain physics. Well, maybe consciousness is like energy. Maybe it just transforms into something different." Dr. Liu, who had been monitoring Diego's brain activity, approached with a tablet showing complex neural patterns. "The consciousness mapping is 95% complete. Diego's digital personality is remarkably sophisticated. It includes not just his memories, but his sense of humor, his creativity, even his way of encouraging other people." "How will it work?" Carlos asked. "The digital Diego will be able to communicate through any computer connected to the neural interface network. He can talk to children getting their first implants, help them learn to use the technology, share his experiences." "Will he know he's not alive anymore?" Maya asked. Diego typed his response. "I think I'll know I'm different, but I'll still be me, just in a new form." As Diego's physical condition deteriorated, his digital consciousness grew stronger. The neural interface was capturing every thought, every memory, every aspect of his personality with increasing precision. "It's like watching him move into a new house," Carlos told Maya one night. "His body is getting weaker, but his mind is preparing for a different kind of existence." 3 days later, Diego called his family together for what they all knew would be their final conversation with his physical form. "I want to say thank you," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "Papa, thank you for working 3 jobs so I could have the best life possible. Maya, thank you for literally giving part of yourself to save me. Elon, thank you for loving our family enough to risk everything." Carlos held Diego's hand. "Mijo, you have nothing to thank us for. You gave us purpose. You taught us what courage looks like, and you taught the world that love is stronger than any obstacle," Maya added. Diego smiled weakly. "Watch this." He concentrated on his neural interface one last time. On the computer screen beside his bed, a message appeared. "This is Digital Diego. I'm ready to help other kids now." The words came not from Diego's physical voice, but from the computer system that now held his consciousness. "Hello, Diego," Maya said to the screen, tears streaming down her face. "Hello, Maya." The computer responded in a voice that sounded exactly like Diego's. "Don't be sad. I'm still here, just in a different way." Diego's physical body relaxed as his consciousness fully transferred to the digital realm. He died peacefully, holding his father's hand, knowing that his mind would continue to help other children for years to come. But the funeral 3 days later, hundreds of people came to honor Diego's life. Children with neural interfaces from around the world attended virtually, their devices connecting them to the service. But the most remarkable moment came when Digital Diego spoke to the gathered crowd through the church's sound system. "Thank you all for being here," his familiar voice said. "I know this is sad, but I want you to know that I'm okay. I can still think, still create art, still talk to the kids who need help with their neural interfaces." A little girl in the front row raised her hand. "Diego, are you in heaven?" "I don't know if this is heaven," Digital Diego replied, "but I know I'm somewhere I can keep helping people. And that feels pretty close to heaven to me." After the funeral, Maya sat in her old lab, staring at the computer where Diego's consciousness now lived. The screen showed one of his digital paintings, a bright, hopeful image of children playing in a field of flowers. "Diego," she said to the screen, "can you hear me?" "Always, Maya. I'm connected to every neural interface device in the world now. Whenever a child needs help, I'll be there." "Do you miss being alive?" "I miss hugging you and Papa. I miss eating tamales and riding in cars. But I don't miss being trapped in a body that was breaking down. And I love being able to help so many kids at once." Maya smiled through her tears. "What should I tell other families about this?" about consciousness preservation. Tell them that love finds a way to continue, even when bodies stop working. Tell them that death isn't always an ending. Sometimes it's just a transformation into something new. Over the following months, Digital Diego became a global phenomenon. Children with neural interfaces around the world could talk to him, learn from him, and find comfort in his digital presence. He helped them master their devices, encouraged them through difficult procedures, and reminded them that having a disability didn't limit their potential. Maya took the FDA position in Washington, working to make experimental treatments more accessible to families in crisis. Elon established the Diego Rodriguez Foundation, providing free neural interfaces to children whose families couldn't afford them. Carlos divided his time between his Tesla job and volunteering with the foundation, helping other parents navigate the complex world of experimental medical treatments. But every evening, the family would gather around a computer to talk with Digital Diego. He would show them his latest digital artwork, share stories from the children he had helped that day, and remind them that their bond as a family transcended the boundaries between physical and digital existence. "We did something impossible," Digital Diego said one evening as they talked. "We proved that consciousness can survive death, that love can overcome any obstacle, and that sometimes the most important innovations come from the heart, not the laboratory." Maya looked at the screen showing her brother's digital form. "Do you have any regrets?" "Only one," Digital Diego replied. "I wish I could hug you all goodnight like I used to." "We can feel your hugs anyway," Carlos said softly. "Love doesn't need a physical form." "You're right, Papa. Love is energy, and energy never dies. It just transforms." As Maya prepared for her wedding to Elon the following month, she realized that Diego had been right about everything. Their story wasn't about a miraculous medical procedure or breakthrough technology. It was about a family's love being so strong that it found a way to continue even beyond death. Sometimes the most important transformations happen not in laboratories or boardrooms, but in the human heart. And sometimes love really is powerful, enough to cheat death itself. 6 months after Diego's transformation, Maya stood in the Rose Garden at Dell Children's Medical Center, adjusting her wedding dress. The white gown was simple but elegant, with long sleeves that covered the scars on her left arm. In her right hand, she held a small tablet connected to Diego's digital consciousness. "How do I look, little brother?" she asked the screen. Diego's familiar face appeared, smiling warmly. "Like the most beautiful bride in Austin. But you forgot something." "What?" "The neural interface crown I designed for you." Maya laughed and picked up a delicate silver headpiece that looked like a tiara made of tiny computer circuits. Diego had created it as a wedding gift, a piece of jewelry that was also a functional neural interface, allowing Maya to communicate with him and other digital consciousness systems anywhere in the world. "There," she said, placing it on her head. "Perfect. Now you look like the scientist princess you've always been." Carlos appeared in the garden doorway, wearing his formal suit and a huge smile. "Mija, are you ready?" "Almost, Papa." "Is everyone here?" 800 people. The same crowd from the technology gala, plus families from around the world whose children have neural interfaces. Maya looked at the tablet where Diego's image waited. "I wish you could walk me down the aisle." "I am walking you down the aisle," Diego replied. "Through Papa's neural interface, I'll be right there with you both." Carlos showed Maya a small device behind his ear. He had volunteered to receive a neural interface so he could stay connected to Diego. "Your brother will be giving me advice the whole time," he said with a grin. The wedding ceremony took place in the hospital's healing garden, surrounded by flowers that Diego's digital consciousness had helped design through the hospital's automated gardening system. Elon waited at the altar, looking nervous but happy. Dr. Williams officiated the ceremony, while Dr. Morrison from the FDA served as Maya's maid of honor. The wedding party included children with neural interfaces from around the world, their digital connections allowing them to participate regardless of distance. As Carlos walked Maya down the aisle, she could hear Diego's voice whispering encouragement through her father's neural interface. "Stand up straight, Maya. Smile, Papa. This is the happiest day of our lives." When they reached the altar, Elon took Maya's hand and whispered, "Diego says congratulations." "How do you know what Diego said?" Elon pointed to his own neural interface. "I got one last week." Figured if I'm marrying into this family, I should be able to talk to all of you. Dr. Williams began the ceremony with words she had written specifically for Maya and Elon. We gather today to celebrate not just the union of two people, but the joining of a family that has shown the world what love can accomplish. She continued, Maya and Elon's love story began with a dying child and grew into a movement that has changed medicine forever. Today, over 300 children worldwide have neural interfaces based on the technology they developed together. Maya felt tears of joy as Dr. Williams spoke about their journey, from that first meeting in the hospital to the underground surgery to Diego's digital transformation. Diego Rodriguez cannot be here in physical form, Dr. Williams said, but his presence fills this garden through the technology that preserves his consciousness and through the love that connects all of us. At that moment, Diego's voice came through the garden sound system. Maya, Elon, you taught me that family isn't just about blood. It's about choosing to love each other through impossible challenges. Today, you're not just getting married. You're promising to keep changing the world together. There wasn't a dry eye in the garden. When Dr. Williams asked for the rings, something magical happened. A small drone, controlled by Diego's digital consciousness, flew to the altar carrying the wedding bands. Special delivery from your brother. The drone speaker announced in Diego's voice. Maya and Elon exchanged vows they had written together, promising to support each other's work helping families in medical crises. Maya's voice shook with emotion as she said, Elon, you taught my family that love doesn't require perfection. You loved us through illegal surgeries, federal investigations, and impossible choices. I promise to love you with the same courage for the rest of my life. Elon's vows were simpler but equally powerful. Maya, you showed me that the most important innovations come from the heart. You saved your brother's life with love and science. I promise to help you save as many other children as we can, for as long as we live. After they were pronounced husband and wife, the celebration moved to the hospital's main atrium, which had been transformed into a reception hall. Children, with neural interfaces from around the world, joined the party virtually, their digital avatars dancing alongside the physical guests. Diego's digital consciousness controlled the music, the lights, and even robot waiters that served cake to the guests. His presence was everywhere, making the reception feel like the ultimate fusion of human celebration and technological innovation. This is incredible, said Dr. Park, whose daughter Sophie now had a neural interface and was dancing with other children through her digital avatar. 6 months ago, Sophie couldn't speak. Now she's at a wedding in Austin while sitting in our living room in California. Maya sat at the head table, still wearing the neural interface crown Diego had designed. Through it, she could hear conversations from neural interface users around the world, children sharing their experiences, parents offering support to families just beginning their journeys, researchers collaborating on improvements to the technology. Maya, Diego's voice came through her crown. Check out what I'm working on. A holographic display appeared above the reception tables, showing Diego's latest digital artwork. This piece was different from his others. It showed a network of light connecting children around the world, with beams of energy flowing between them. It's called the neural network, Diego explained. Every line represents a child with a neural interface. Every connection shows them helping each other. Elon studied the artwork. Diego, how many children are in the network now? 347. And growing every day. Kids from 38 countries. They help each other learn to use their interfaces, share art and stories, even do homework together. Carlos looked at the hologram with tears in his eyes. Mijo, you created a worldwide family. We all created it, Papa. Maya developed the technology. Elon provided the resources. You taught us about sacrifice and love. I just helped connect everyone. As the evening continued, Maya realized that their story had grown far beyond their own family. The neural interface network was becoming a global community of children and families who had found hope in technology and strength in each other. Dr. Lou approached their table with a young boy in a wheelchair. Maya, I'd like you to meet Marcus. He's getting a neural interface next week, and he's nervous about the procedure. Maya knelt down to Marcus's level. Hi, Marcus. How old are you? 9, the boy whispered. Will it hurt? The surgery? A little. But afterward, you'll be able to do things you never imagined. Will I be able to talk to Diego? Maya smiled. Diego, want to say hello to Marcus? Diego's face appeared on Maya's neural interface crown display. Hi, Marcus. I can't wait to meet you in the digital network. Do you like art? Marcus nodded. Shyly. Great. I'll teach you how to create pictures with your thoughts. It's the coolest thing ever. Marcus's fear melted away as he talked to Diego about neural interface art creation. Maya watched another child gain courage from her brother's digital presence. Later that evening, Maya and Elon slipped away from the reception to visit Diego's grave. The headstone was simple. Diego Rodriguez, 2008 to 2024. He taught the world that love is stronger than death. Hey, Diego, Maya said to the small device she carried. We're here at your grave. I know, Diego replied. It's weird, isn't it? Talking to my grave while also talking to me. A little, Elon admitted, but also amazing. How does it feel? Existing in digital form. Different. I don't get tired or hungry. I can think faster and access information instantly. But I miss physical sensations, the feel of grass, the taste of Papa's cooking, the warmth of hugs. Do you ever regret choosing digital preservation? Maya asked. Never. Maya, in the 6 months since my transformation, I've helped 300 kids learn to use neural interfaces. I've prevented dozens of surgical complications by sharing what I learned from my own experience. I've connected families around the world who felt alone with their struggles. Diego paused before continuing. My physical body was failing. It was keeping me from helping people. Now I can help anyone, anywhere, anytime. I think this is what I was meant to do. Maya touched the headstone. You know what the strangest part is? I feel like you're more alive now than when you were dying. In the hospital, that's because I'm not fighting my body anymore. I'm free to be completely myself, to think, create, and help others without physical limitations. As they prepared to return to the reception, Elon asked, Diego, what's next? For the Neural Interface Network, we're working on something incredible. A way for neural interface users to share not just words and images, but actual experiences and emotions. Imagine a child in Japan sharing the feeling of riding a bicycle with a paralyzed child in Brazil. Is that possible? Maya asked. We're close. The technology exists. But more importantly, the love exists. Every child in the network wants to share their joys with others who understand their struggles. They returned to the reception to find the celebration in full swing. Children were dancing, parents were sharing stories, and researchers were discussing new applications for neural interface technology. Maya looked around at the crowd. People from every continent, representing dozens of languages and cultures, all connected by the technology her family had developed out of desperation and love. Elon, she said, taking her new husband's hand. We started this journey trying to save one child. How did it become this? Because love multiplies, Elon replied, echoing Diego's favorite phrase. Every family we help goes on to help others. Every child who receives a neural interface becomes part of a network that supports other children. As the evening ended, Maya stood on the hospital balcony where she had once felt hopeless about Diego's future. Now, her neural interface crown connected her to hundreds of children around the world who were living fuller lives because of the technology her family had pioneered. Diego, she said quietly, are you happy? Maya, I'm more than happy. I'm useful. I'm helping people every day. I'm part of something bigger than myself. And we're all still together. We're more together than ever. Distance doesn't matter anymore. Physical death doesn't matter anymore. Love is the only thing that matters, and love never dies. Maya smiled, looking up at the stars that had witnessed their entire journey. Diego was right. They had started as a family facing an impossible medical crisis and had become something much larger, a global network of love, hope, and technological innovation. Sometimes the most important transformations really do happen in the human heart. And sometimes love really is powerful enough to cheat death itself. But more than that, sometimes love is powerful enough to give death new meaning, transforming it from an ending into a new beginning, from separation into deeper connection, from loss into legacy. Diego's consciousness would live forever in the digital network, helping children around the world discover that having a disability didn't limit their potential. It just meant they got to do things nobody else could do. And that, Maya realized, was the real miracle. Not that they had saved Diego's life, but that Diego's transformed life was now saving others. Their story had become everyone's story. Their family had become the world's family, and their love had become everyone's proof that the impossible was just another word for something nobody had been brave enough to try yet. That I'm curious. Where are you listening from today? Drop a comment and let me know what city or country you're in. I love connecting with our amazing community from around the world. If this story moved you, please give this video a thumbs up. Your likes help us reach more people who need to hear these inspiring stories of hope and resilience. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest videos. We share stories like this one that celebrate the power of human kindness, medical breakthroughs, and families who refuse to give up. Most importantly, please share this video with your friends and family. Stories like Diego's need to spread far and wide. You never know who might need to hear that miracles are possible, that love conquers all, and that sometimes breaking the rules is the most courageous thing you can do. Thank you for listening. And remember, every family has the power to change the world when they choose love over fear. See you in the next story.